Hello, 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 Razorback fans and sports fans. It's another edition of the Hog Trough on this Saturday night. Uh, got a lot to talk about. A lot going on in the world of Arkansas sports. The first major news, well, I guess, yeah, the first major news was when Jaden Haselwood committed to or transferred to Arkansas. I think that is something that Arkansas football really needed. Um, Especially since we found the news. Traylon Burks will declare for the NFL draft and will not play in the bowl game, which, we'll get into that in a minute. But I think, first of all, Jaden Haselwood, that is a huge, huge get for the Razorbacks. Last year or this year, Traylon Burks was the man out there, and he was the go to receiver. You didn't really have that number two wide receiver. So I think next year you'll see Haselwood as the number one guy, and with the possibility of bringing in a couple more guys that can contribute and maybe some of the other receivers stepping up more next year. But I find it interesting that Haselwood committed to Arkansas, and I think it's a great thing for Arkansas. And, Mike Woods, I find it interesting that Mike Woods, the team that he transferred to, their best receiver ended up coming to us the following year. We really could have used him this year uh, to have him alongside Burks, but we'll take him. He's a really talented wide receiver. Not sure why he left. Um, it could have had something to do with the coaching change, but it looks like Oklahoma got a really good coach in Brent Venables. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to next year, seeing how this Arkansas team plays. It's going to be a tough schedule, but I think the first good news that we were all hoping for, we knew was a possibility. It had been talked about quite a while, or about a week before it actually was announced, that Haselwood is a Razorback. So, you know, he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school and did some good things at Oklahoma. If you go and watch some of his highlights, he was really, really productive as a Sooner. Last year, uh, don't think he had the typical numbers he normally puts up, but he was still a good weapon on that offense. And now he's a Razorback. So we'll see what happens. Can't wait for next year. I know we still got a bowl game, and Arkansas did get Penn State in that bowl game, and it'll be played in Tampa, Florida. So the Razorbacks get to make the long flight to Florida to play in that game. Traylon Burks, it's a good segue, is not going to play in that game, which I know a lot of Razorback fans are. They're not. Let's just say they're not happy about that. But at the end of the day, Traylon, he's a very talented receiver, and you can't knock the guy for wanting to look out for himself and his family. Go make the money. You don't want to risk an injury in a bowl game. I don't want to say meaningless, because no game is meaningless, but it'd be a lot different if Arkansas was in the playoff or something. But there's no way Traylon would have opted out otherwise. I'm sure it was a hard decision for him. Like, he loves playing football, and at the end of the day, it just came down to a business decision. So I mean, that's part of athletics nowadays. The guy is going to have an outstanding NFL career if he can stay healthy. That's the key, man. He played injured all season, it seemed like, for the Razorbacks, and despite the injuries, he played through them, and he really uh, put up some good stats this year for the Razorbacks. Any NFL team would be lucky to have this guy, Traylon. I wish him the best in the NFL, and you know, like I mentioned, this guy could really do something special in the NFL. South Arkansas guy, great guy. He loved playing for the Hogs, but a guy with that talent, that size, and pretty good speed as well, he'll definitely fit right in the NFL. But yeah, that's my take on it. Of course, I wanted to see him play in the bowl game. I love watching our best players play in these type of games. I like to see us win, and the best way to win is to have your best players out there. But I also think this is an opportunity for other players to step up because, he's not going to be there next year. Use this as an opportunity to get more practice in and let some of these other players step up. We can still win this game. I mean, it does hurt our chances, obviously, but I think we got a pretty good shot at winning it despite Traylon deciding to opt out, which really, if you look at it, I knew that there was a possibility that a pretty high possibility that he would opt out. Also, a part of me thought he wouldn't just because of the kind of player he is and the type of person he is, a very team player, very much a team player. But at the end of the day, I can't get mad at him for doing it. And I want to, urge Razorback fans to relax. It's one player. He's a great talent. It's one game. It's a bowl game. We should be honored just to be able to play in it. Considering the way our seasons have gone in years past, we're in a bowl game, and I think we'll do okay in that bowl game. I think we've got other players that can step up, and next season will be one of those seasons where you might see some drop off, but you never know. Pittman's getting in some good players, most notably on the defensive side. I know we've got some good offensive players that are going to be able to suit up next year. So we'll get into next year later, but just wanted to give my opinions on Jaden Haselwood, the good news and the bad news, depending how you look at it, of Traylon Burks deciding to opt out of the bowl game and declaring for the NFL draft. So good luck again to Traylon Burks. I cannot wait to watch you light it up on NFL Sundays. And prepare for that draft. Stay healthy. That's the key here. Stay healthy, and you can have a great career. You might go down as it is right now as the best wide receiver in Arkansas history. You look at the career of Traylon Burks, what he had to go through with Chad Morris those first few years. He didn't put up mind-boggling numbers, but he also didn't have the best coaching staff out there. But he still put up pretty decent numbers. And what he was able to do with a good coaching staff with Sam Pittman, Kendall Briles, and Barry Odom, he was able to really excel this year. And you kind of wonder what kind of career he would have had with maybe a Sam Pittman, as starting out as his career at Arkansas. Traylon Burks, it's going to be sad not seeing you out there, but good luck in the NFL once again. Now let's get to the sort of solemn part of the show. Arkansas fell today to the Oklahoma Sooners 88-66, their first loss of the season. We knew that this loss was going to come at some point, didn't know quite when. We were 9-0 heading into this game. We knew we hadn't played our best basketball yet, and we knew that there were some pretty glaring weaknesses on this team. At least most Arkansas fans saw the weaknesses, and we knew that if we didn't come to play today that we were going to lose. And that's exactly what happened. Oklahoma shot the three ball exceptionally well today. And that's kind of been Arkansas's kryptonite. Even in their 9 wins, teams were shooting lights out from three, weren't getting out there and guarding them as good as we should, and they made us pay. But luckily, we hadn't lost up until today, where that came back to bite us. Arkansas had some moments in this game where they really showed like maybe they're going to come back and win, and they would cut it to maybe 4, 5. I think they even got it down to 3 at one point. But despite that, Oklahoma pretty much controlled this entire game. So congrats to the Sooner fans out there. Y'all played well, and y'all are definitely a good team. Not taking anything away from you. Could be a team that goes far in March Madness. You never know. Arkansas obviously still has an entire season. It's one loss, guys. So for those out there that might be panicking over it, it's okay. We do need to fix some things, but I trust Eric Musselman, and I know we'll bounce back. It's going to be a year where you might not see a lot of blowout wins, especially in conference play. I mean, this is a good team. That Arkansas has a good team, but you know it's tough in the SEC, and even some of the wins that we get might be ugly. But you got to grind it out, get to the get to the big dance, and you never know what can happen. So yeah, it wasn't a great day for the Razorbacks basketball team. Didn't shoot very well. Had a lot of fouls. At least it seemed like to me, fouling players on Oklahoma, giving up wide open threes, and that's something that's got to be fixed. And we didn't shoot the ball lights out. So, just all around not a great performance. And that could have had a lot to do with Oklahoma. I know we missed some wide open looks today. Didn't get a chance to watch the game, but I listened to it. From what it sounded like, it just felt like Oklahoma was just in control of the game from the very start. I know they started out on a 13-0, 10-0 or 13-0 run, and I was like, okay, Arkansas better come to play. And it never really felt like Arkansas was going to turn it around. I mean, there was a few times where it's like, okay, Arkansas, they can turn it around, but Oklahoma would just keep extending that lead. So congrats to them. They played well. Arkansas did not, and we lost our game. We lost the game today, but it is one loss. 9-1 is the record right now as we stand. A lot of basketball left to go, and never count out an Eric Musselman team. Arkansas, I know, does pretty well after a loss. I know Eric Musselman is good after a loss. He does well at adjusting his players and fixing weaknesses. So hopefully that's the case. But yeah, Arkansas falls to Oklahoma today, 88-66. The score definitely would lead you to believe that it was never close, but that's not true. It got close at some moments in the game. Oklahoma pulled away late in that game, and something I need to mention before we hop off here is Eric Musselman did get ejected with about 3 minutes to go. Not sure exactly what the call was that got him ejected, but I know he didn't agree with the call. And I know the entire game he'd kind of been going back and forth with the referees, and maybe it just was the nail in the coffin there at the end when Oklahoma was starting to pull away. Just not a great performance by Arkansas. So Musselman, maybe he'll light a spark in this team, and we'll start seeing them play like we know they can. I think even a lot of Razorbacks fans, we can be pretty skeptical at times, but I don't think we were necessarily off the mark after you're watching today. Like there's some weaknesses on this team that need to be fixed. But like I said, it's easier said than done as a fan. It's not like you can just fix them. Sometimes teams are just shooting better than you or executing better than you. And that's going to happen over a course of a season. It's not going to be the first loss this year. Arkansas is not going to win out. I'd love to see it, but it won't happen. But like I said, Arkansas falls today 88-66 to the Oklahoma Sooners. Thanks for everyone who tuned in. Go Hogs, and I'll see you next time.